Welcome back to the MIDLIFE MUSCLE Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Atlas, and today's great guest is another Brooklyn-born brother. What's up, Nate? Good to see you. Thank you for making the time. I appreciate it.
That's right, man. Pleasure.
So, Nate is another member of the Gym Jacks. We're gonna get the backstory on his journey into the Gym Jacks, but we're also gonna get a lot of other good stuff. Remember you did the water fast not too long ago? I want to talk about that.
Yeah,
right,
sure.
So we're gonna go into Nate's water fast. Was it a 5 or 7 day?
My first one was a 7-day, and then my second one was a 10-day.
All right. Yeah. All right. So we got 2 long, just water fasts
Just water,
that we're going to talk about. We're going to get the outcomes of those. Nate's going to nominate one of the next future guests, right?
Yep.
We got that worked out. You got a good question for me?
Yeah.
Okay. And if there's any social media account you want to share, or even your work website or something, we could do that at the end as well.
Sure.
All right. Okay. So, like casual, just like you and I started talking, like it was just very natural. Like, and before the second conversation, we realized we were both made in Brooklyn.
That's right.
So cool.
Same area too. I think it was Williamsburg.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Williamsburg.
Yeah.
Boom. Crazy but beautiful. So, give us just a brief, like casual, flexible self intro, like 5 sentences, 6 sentences. How old are you? What do you do down here? Where'd you come from?
Well, I mean, like you said, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Descendants of a Dominican family. My parents both got here back in '80. Well, my father got here back in the late '70s. Mom got here back in '83.
Okay.
And so I was born in '84. 39 years old.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting time and going ahead and being raised in Brooklyn, New York in the 80s and 90s.
Just like we spoke about.
Yeah, really tough times for that city. And there was quite the interesting upbringing, right? Like it was pretty much rough streets,
right?
Lots of gang violence, especially in the Williamsburg area at the time. Now Williamsburg is
totally
like,
different.
It's
like
totally, I mean, dude, that's like the place to be at right now.
It's like you would have never predicted it would be what it is now.
Correct.
Just unbelievably awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't, like, you would have to be home by 9 p.m. back in the day, and then now, like, you can go ahead and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
or you
2 different worlds.
Yeah, you see people go ahead and drinking tea or something like that, you know, outside at 2 a.m. You know, in the evening, and so it's just like, whoa, it's completely, you know,
pretty
changed.
Amazing.
So it was definitely amazing. I come from parents that were business owners, and also parents that are pastors as well. So, had a very good upbringing.
I got some questions regarding that, believe it or not.
Good.
Yeah.
A person like myself, I was one of these kids, man. I was just like, you know, small, lanky. Or actually tall, but small as far as frame is concerned.
Kind of skinny for your height.
Oh, I was the Spanish Steve Urkel, man. Like,
okay.
That's what it was back then for
All
me.
right.
And, it was one of those things that, you know, you had to learn how to fend for yourself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that type of image that you can portray, like you can seem dorky or nerdy, and people easily wanted to go ahead and try to pick on you and stuff like that. So, I looked that way, but I was no punk because, if you want to,
you knew you had
Dukes,
to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew that. I knew that as I was being raised and as I was growing up, that, you know, that was the culture. It's like, look, there was either 2 types of people. Either you get hit and you stay hit, or you get hit and you fight.
You fight back.
Yeah, you fight back. So I learned how to box. Did 3 years of that in the Boys and Girls Club along with my cousin. He was the one that kind of, you know, put me into it. And, I was like about probably 10 years old. And so as I was getting older in my adolescent years, and then as I shot up like a weed, as far as my height is concerned, I was just, I wasn't no punk, and I wasn't going to let myself stay hit.
Right.
So, I had to fight for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's the way life has been, right? Like,
Right.
you have to fight for things that you
Sure.
actually want, and how to, and go through the things that you had to endure,
Right.
to make it out, at the other
Right.
end of the
You're,
spectrum.
you're used to that way of life.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely, man.
So, I know your age because we talked about your birthday. Happy birthday again. 39, right?
39, December 31st,
Right.
man.
39, December 31st. Beautiful. So, speaking of height and weight, what is your actual height?
Right now, it's 6'5".
6'5".
Yeah, 6'5". I am 263-ish, around there, depending on my
6'5", 260.
3.
Dang.
Yeah, we'll keep it there.
Yeah, we'll keep it right there for now. These
Fluctuate between 260, 265.
All right, good reference points. All right, so that's a great intro, by the way. Thank you. So childhood, obviously Brooklyn during the most challenging times. You had to learn to start taking care of yourself, getting stronger, boxing. What point in your life did you actually start training, like gym training, weights, resistance training, strength training?
Oh wow, that was it clicked on me. I would say probably my junior year of high school, after basketball. So in high school,
What triggered it?
So at first, what triggered it was my cousin, the one who put me into boxing. He was a well-stocked guy.
Right.
He was well built. And he just had the attention of the ladies, man. And that's what I want. I wanted the ladies, and I was like,
right.
I said, I want that attention. I was not the person that was getting the attention. I had glasses. I was very skinny. Didn't have braces, but I had a similar of a pushback haircut. Sometimes my mom would be the one that would dress me, and so I was breaking into myself, or coming out of my shell, so to speak. And I just said to myself, I'm tired of being skinny. I want to get jacked. And,
right.
So
you didn't know you had these genetics, like
no,
that
I
you
did
would...
not. I did no. Listen, my nickname in high school was Spaghettis. Okay, some people would call me 11 because it was the number that I had on my jersey, but it was also the way my legs looked as well, because it was so skinny. So my shoulders from the back looked like a hanger. Like, that's how skinny I was.
Whoa,
I believe I was 6'3", and I was 165 pounds wet. So I was pretty dry.
Right.
I just felt like as if I needed to make a change, and so I did. And what initiated that was pretty much going ahead and wanting the attention from the ladies and all this other stuff, and then it morphed into it becoming a lifestyle for me. Educated myself within that spectrum, and it just became more and more something that just was a part of me, a part of my life. And that then what my initial intent was, that was not the focus afterwards, right?
Understood.
Like it just became, okay,
that was the trigger. That's why I asked what triggered you.
That was a trigger.
Because then it turns into something else as you're traveling the journey, and you're you go through the self-discovery and how you can change yourself from what you used to be to what you envisioned you wanted to become. And that starts to change a lot of your psychology, your mentality.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, it boosts up your confidence because you become now you become a talking point. You become an icebreaker, and when sometimes, depending on how you carry yourself and how you take care of yourself as well, your presence sometimes demands attention. Now, what you do with that attention is up to you, and that depends on your maturity and such. So, for me, I was very fortunate that I was able to leverage that to do business deals and to go ahead and be successful within the corporate world. And so it shaped me. It shaped me big time. It gave me confidence. It gave me a great level of self-esteem and such. So it was awesome. It just literally became a way of life for me. And what I accomplished at the gym, I was able to put that into play for work, family, so on and so forth. Right.
Agreed and understood. So speaking of career, what profession are you doing now, and has that always been your career path?
It wasn't intentionally to be my career path. I just happened to fall into it. I'm in the financial industry and have been for the past 17 years. I started off as a teller in Citibank
Okay.
back in 2005 or four, something like that, if I can recall. It's been so long. And then I just worked my way up into management. And currently right now, I work for a clearinghouse firm that basically we handle all the investments and components that all these major hedge fund companies and major corporations are actually dealing with.
Right.
So we're the middle guy where
Yeah.
we complete the transactions for them and so on and so
Right.
forth. So it's a fun job. It's a fun
Yeah.
gig.
There's always something going on every day.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say the last 2 years and a half has been a different transition because still within the realm of the financial industry, but my roles have kind of changed. So still a manager, still project manager in a sense, but I deal with people from India, England, Germany, and Brazil.
Right.
So I'm constantly pretty much thinking about numbers, thinking about transactions, thinking about things that are occurring on real time.
Right.
So, but yeah, just been in the game for quite some time.
Nice. It seems like you enjoy it too.
Yeah, I mean the flexibility that it provides, to go ahead and work from home and work from anywhere, is definitely something that is very enjoyable.
Right. Congrats on that.
Thank you, man.
Good stuff. All right. So you growing up, did you have any brothers, sisters?
Yes, I am the oldest of four. I have 2 younger brothers and 1 little sister.
All right. And are they all still up in Brooklyn?
No, one of them is in Canada. The other 2, one is in New Jersey, which he just had a baby last night.
Nice. Congrats.
And then my little sister still lives in Brooklyn, but she has her own place now.
Right. Very cool. All right. So before we go into the fasts, let's talk about your training schedule. What is this time of year? Because it might change throughout the year. What does this time of year look like for you in terms of a weekly training schedule? Just like the overall outline.
Due to my work schedule and my ability to go ahead and be flexible, I mean, I like consistency. So usually I would train either early in the morning or later on in the afternoon. I kind of found a sweet spot as of late. So right now, I'm training pretty much at about 10 o'clock, usually after my prime time hours, after dealing with calls and stuff like that with my partners up in overseas. So right now I am pretty much about 10:30 to about 12 o'clock.
Yeah, that's usually when we're crossing paths.
Correct. Yeah. So right now I am officially prepping on off season. I do have a competition lined up for July, possibly.
Physique?
No, classic.
Classic.
Yeah, so I'll be in classic.
All right. When is that again?
This will be July, somewhere in July. We're still determining going between 2 shows, so won't disclose that just yet.
Okay, understood. I love it.
July.
All right, cool.
So,
so what does the training split look like?
So I right now, so the split is currently determined by where I need to go ahead and improve in. So I'm definitely going ahead and focusing a lot on my lower back, my lats, and actually just overall my back half.
Right.
And so and especially my legs. So when you're 6'5", you have a lot of exposure,
right.
Versus somebody who is shorter than you in that sense. So right now we're focusing on quad movements of 2 times out of the week and back workouts 2 times out of the week. Everything else just 1 time a week, simply because there's already strong points.
Right. Okay.
So one leg day it'll be hamstring focus with glutes. And then secondary quads, and then the other day would be quad focus with touch-up of glutes and hamstrings as well.
Those are your 2 lower body days per the week.
Exactly.
Back is twice a week, and then all the other muscle groups once for the week.
Yeah, once a week. Now, you're tapping on secondary.
Sure.
Muscle groups,
they're assisting in certain moves.
Yeah, but definitely still moving. I mean, usually when I do a push-pull, or when I do a pull, I'm pulling on a lot of different areas. So,
right.
And with that, for my body, it allows for me to go ahead and be consistently lean and not have to resort to being in a treadmill or stairs, as much. Now, granted, right, when you get into competition mode,
a few months before,
you're gonna need that. But for right now, since I'm in a time frame of development and growth, and really promoting lean muscle growth, I'm definitely going ahead and just centralizing on a lot of moderate to heavyweight, high reps, so a lot of great volume, making sure that I'm pumping in as much blood into those muscles.
When you say high reps, give me a number idea range.
On a great day, 15 to 20.
Okay.
But usually I like to keep it between 12 and 15. So the other day I felt like as if I wanted to go ahead and just do flat bench press, and I did 225. I did 30 reps. Just because I wanted to see where I was at. Now I felt great after that. I mean, I had a huge pump. And sometimes I'll go ahead and do similar things to certain muscle groups as well. So but usually about 12 to 15 is the sweet spot for me, when I'm able to go ahead and push some great weight.
So it's definitely less cardio than you're going to be doing pre-competition. How much cardio are you doing right now this time of year?
Right now, maybe 3 times out of the week, especially when it comes to leg days, I'll go ahead and do the stairs for 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll split that. I'll go 20 minutes prior to the leg workout, and then 10 minutes after post. When it's leg days, it's that. When it's non-leg days and I'm going ahead, maybe on a Sunday, I'm doing touch-ups. I'm on the treadmill for about 20 minutes.
You try to break a sweat?
Yeah. I mean, I'm normally dripping sweat regardless. So, I mean, most of my cardio sessions is pretty much post. So, I'm already, engaged and dialed in. So, I'm already dripping at that point.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So, are these going to be your first competitions in July?
No, this one will be my 4th.
So you've already done a few.
I've done a few. My first show, I won first place, and that was a great moment.
How long ago was that?
For me, that was back in 2019.
All right,
I was
congrats.
at the Dexter Classics.
Was that right?
Yeah,
nice.
That was my first show. My coach, and who still has been my coach, David Camphy. He told me the first day he looked at me like, dude, you look like you're good for competition, man. So he says, give me a year and a half, trust the process, and we'll definitely get you on stage and we'll get you winning. So I said, all right, fine, let's go ahead and do that. And I waited a year and a half. I trained hard and changed my composition. Still had a lot to go ahead and work on, but nevertheless, it was still something that it allowed for me to go ahead and push the envelope in my body that I'd have never experienced.
You haven't done it before.
Yeah. So my first show, I won first place, and that was awesome. After that, I went over to the Nationals Championship in Miami that same year, and then I won 12th out of like about 32 competitors. Wow. So it was a big show. It was a big show. Yeah. That's actually, I believe it's the biggest show as far as the pro qualifiers.
Okay.
And it's the last show of the year, so everybody's there.
Yeah.
So there was some good talent there. There was some good competition there. My third show, I won third place, so I was 1 place away from turning pro.
Ooh.
And then what was next? Actually, this will be my 5th show. So no, I had a fourth. So I had a 4th show. So my 4th show, I won 3rd place again. So I was just the last 2 shows. I've been 1 place away from turning pro. Right. So I took a year and a half off.
Yeah.
And just due to life.
Right.
Just wanted to take a break.
Sure.
I recently just had an itch, to go ahead and go back and just try one more time, man.
Right.
I'm pushing 40, so I'm on the highway to 40. So it's like, all right, let's get it in as much as we possibly can, if possible.
Oh, you're good, man. Like, I'm excited for you. Like, so you're 263-ish right now. What do you think you'll compete at in July? Give or take.
So it normally I would be at about 238, 244. But they just picked up the weight requirement. So
really,
we're able to by 10 pounds. So I can I can easily come in now at 245, 250.
Right.
You know, so
if you like your composition.
If of course, and if I'm conditioned right. You know, so the objective right now for the next 3 months is to grow, you know, sufficiently and optimally, very lean and not have, you know, bad weight. So have, you know, gain some good weight.
Right.
So I think my max right now I'll probably go up to 270. And then by the time I start to cut down, I'm gradually coming down to, you know, conditioned weight, which would probably be anywhere between 240 to 250.
Right. All right. This is gonna be fun watching you.
Oh yeah.
If you ever need like somebody to train with you to push you a little bit, just ask me. I'm happy to do it. I got a few tricks for you too.
Okay. Great. Great.
All right. So it's good stuff. Okay. So this time of year, just what does your nutrition framework look like?
So right now it's pretty moderate carbs. So clean carbs, obviously.
Give me some examples.
So I'm eating about 6 meals a day with a protein shake. So about 7, maybe sometimes 8. So it just depends on how I feel,
right?
You know, and then depends, you know, what I'm working on that day. But about pretty much 8 to 10 ounces of protein and about 7 ounces of carbohydrates. Obviously, I'm throwing in some natural fats, so avocados. Nuts, you know, and everything has a serving of some sort of greens, whether it's broccoli, spinach, or asparagus, or what may have you. So nice. I'm always throwing that in.
Right. What types of carbs you choosing?
My carbs are 2 very simple ones: white rice, jasmine rice, and sweet potatoes.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Those are good. Any oatmeal?
No, okay. I don't do oatmeal as
Understood. Much. Okay. And what are your top protein choices?
Chicken, steak, and salmon.
Okay. Do you try to lean organic on most things, or not really?
I do, especially with the eggs.
Yeah.
I definitely try to. It's that there is a benefit to that, especially with steaks and salmons. I always go wild caught salmons. I never do farm raised.
Right.
So I look for that level of quality. Same thing with the chickens as well.
Yeah.
Same. But I enjoy cooking. So my parents were restaurant owners. My mom was a chef. So my mom, you know, she raised no fool. Yeah. So for me, I'm very eclectic with going ahead and cooking. So I have different varieties of flavors and such. So
you got herbs, spices you like to use. Those are all good. Like those are all good.
So
I
have lots of marinades and lots of things that are very natural, not
heavy,
but
nothing, they're tasty.
Nothing processed, nothing heavy. You know, you'll be surprised, you know, what you can do with, you know, salt, pepper, oregano, you know, onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika.
Oh, man, it's so simple, but it's so good. Like it changes everything.
And then understanding the temperature of how to cook your meats. You know, chicken breast does not have to be dry.
No,
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't have to be like rubber.
Exactly. Your steaks does not have to be like a hockey puck. You know, so there are ways of cooking it and eating right, you know, and eating healthy without it being, you know, bland. Or
it's not. That. You're not on a diet. It's more like what I call fitness gourmet.
Correct.
And it's like I enjoy eating this way. It's not like I'm on a diet.
Yeah.
That's a totally different mentality.
Yeah.
This is way different. But the key is knowing how to cook the things, but also taking advantage of all those herbs, spices, seasonings that. I mean, they're good for us. There's a lot of good nutrients, phytochemicals, things that benefit us. In addition to tasting great too. A lot of people just don't realize, I could use all these and it's good for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's allowed. Yeah.
And with social media, you know, you have so much opportunity to go ahead and see what's out there that you can go ahead and pick and choose and actually make up your own stuff and try your own stuff. So, you know, I'm always open to doing that stuff. And sometimes I'll create a recipe or a fusion of something that just works for me. I'm like, oh wow, I love this. Hold on, you know, I like this sauce, or maybe let me cut back on the sauce a little bit.
Right. There's so many like ways to create and do different combinations or try. Like I discover a new herb or spice every few months.
Yeah.
Like, all the stuff's out there.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no shortage.
Oh yeah.
That's the beauty of this stuff. You really get into it. It's like, all right, like this is actually more fun and more enjoyable than I used to think it was. A lot of people are doing like, I got to go on a diet. That means like everything's plain, everything's nasty. They're just forcing themselves to eat like on a diet.
Yeah.
Right. It's a total different frame of mind when you're, like you said at the beginning, living the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's touch on the water fast. Let's go with the shorter one. Like, what made you do it? How did it feel? And what did you get out of it?
So, for me, this was more of an encouragement of a spiritual cleansing type of deal. You know, tapping into that. You know, and just you know, in connection with me and God, and so,
Amen.
You know, me being able to go ahead and do that, and I've fasted, you know, for that purpose in multiple different facets and ways,
right?
You know, but never have I ever done, you know, something where it's, you know, continuous days without actually eating no food whatsoever. Right. So, you know, I wanted to try something out that was a challenge and that was a sacrifice. And, you know, so long and behold, little did I know the health benefits that occurs with that. Mm-hmm. And there's so many health benefits.
Yes.
You know, you'll be surprised what your body can actually do in healing itself by going ahead and just stopping.
That's why it's in the Bible.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's
not there by accident.
No, it's not. It's not. So it's crazy how God structured our bodies to go ahead and rejuvenate itself and, you know, reconstruct itself. So, you know, it was definitely a challenge, especially for somebody like me that loves to eat and loves to cook and, you know, loves food. So, you know, I was determined to go ahead and try it. At first, it was something that I said, you know what, I want 7 days, but let me just go ahead and do 4.
Right.
And I got through my 4th day and I said, you know what, I can do 1 more. Got through my 5th day, you know what, I can do 1 more. And then by the time I realized that I was already at 7 days. Right. So the way it works, man, is just that, you know, you have to be able to first prep your mind, because that's pretty much what it comes down to, because it is highly a mind over matter thing. Right. And, you know, you have to be able to understand that you have to be drinking water. You have to hydrate. For me, I was drinking about 1.5 gallons a day of water and nothing else. And, you know, the first 2 days you go through the hunger pains, you go through, you know, the mild headaches here and there. And then the 3rd day, you're kind of pretty much cruising. Now, what happens on the 1st and 2nd day is that your body's burning off all the sugars that it has, right? And then on the 3rd day, you wind up going into a ketosis mode where you, at that point, your body's starting to go ahead and utilize its own fat as energy. But within that process, as you start reaching that 4th and 5th day, those are very optimal days, because now at that point your brain starts to go ahead and develop new brain cells. Your blood starts to filter itself out and clean itself out. Now your immune system elevates. Inflammation goes down drastically everywhere. So I used to have a tweak on my shoulder at the time from doing some flat bench pressing, and it went away. It was gone by like the 4th day. You know, internally, you any type of bloat that you have digestively is out. It's gone. I would suggest that prior to you going ahead and doing that type of fast, that you flush your stuff out. You know, take some sort of a senna tea or you know, something that allows for you to go ahead, you know, to go ahead and flush your tubes out. Because when you go back into eating food, man, that whatever was left there prior can come down really hard. And it's very discomforting. But
the senna tea works great.
Senna tea works well. It's very smooth and it flushes everything out, and you're good to go from that point on. But it allowed for me to have even a clear focus as well throughout my day. I had a lot more energy. You know, as long as I was drinking water, I really wasn't feeling the hunger pains anymore. You also develop new growth hormones as well. You also develop stem cells, you know, as well. So, you know, the sweet spot winds up being that 5 to 10 day duration of time, you know, doing that type of fast, that, you know, you'll start to activate those things. Your liver starts to produce these survival protein cells that distributes out and you know, into the rest of your body and into your muscles. So did I drop weight? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you probably dropped about 10 pounds or so.
No, I dropped more. I actually dropped like about 27 pounds.
I believe it.
You know,
all right.
And so you know, I was working out, but it was just cardio. I wasn't doing
I
any
remember.
type of resistance. Yeah, I wasn't doing any type of resistance training, because then you go catabolic on your body, and you know, muscle starts eating itself out. So you do shrink a little bit, but then the week
it's temporary.
Yeah, it's temporary. The moment I was done with the fast, it was very important for me to understand how to come back into eating. So I started with, you know, just eating, drinking or eating soup, you know, and then high proteins.
Right.
You never want to go into, you know, or come out of a fast and start eating burgers and pizzas
puff
and
right
stuff
up.
like that. Yeah. So your absorption rate right now, right, for any at your normal state, it's about 30. I think it's 30 to 40%. When you're done with the fast, your absorption rate at that point
Super
elevates.
High. Oh yeah,
it's like 80%.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good digestion, assimilation, rebuilding.
Your receptors are intense. They're
ready.
ready. Yeah, they're ready to go. So what you consume at that point after the fast, if you're eating junk, then that's a lot of absorption of junk results. So you know, you want to be able to be smart with that. And I then later introduced carbs into my diet after post the fast, about say 3-4 days, but then it winds up being clean.
Right.
So what wound up happening was that my muscles were able to contract better.
Right.
My movements were a lot better. As I gained more weight, it was clean weight.
Right.
And I actually, my volume just, you know, really expanded very well.
Right.
And so, you know, obviously, yeah, it shreds you, you know, if you're doing it the right way.
You probably saw that you had some definition, more lines by the end of those days.
Yes, absolutely, man. So it was a great experience, you know, and I said to myself, wow, you know, I can actually do this. Again, something that your mind, you pushed your mind to go ahead and do something that it's never done before. And now you're saying to yourself, what else can I push myself to do something that I've never done before?
Right.
Whether that's in business or whatever the case may be, right? You're able to take that, you know, intensity and leverage it, you know, in other aspects of your life.
Right.
And then the second time around that I did it, I decided to go ahead and just to add 3 more days. So I did 10 days with that one.
And you pre-planned the 10?
I pre-planned it,
went into it? No, all right, 10 days is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'm doing, because at that point I felt like as if, you know what, if I did 7 days, I felt like when I was done with the 7 days, I kind of felt like as if I could have kept on going.
Right.
And anytime I have that feeling, it's almost like as if when you're going ahead and lifting something, you say that you're going to do 12, but you're like, wait a second, I could do 3 more.
Right.
You know, and you keep pushing and you just do it. And so that's exactly the same concept for me.
So was it the same experience on the 10-day one, just a little bit longer?
It was just a little bit longer. I did feel something a little bit more different as far as digestively was concerned, because I did sense that my body was kind of pushing out any type of toxins, you know, and whatnot. So it was slightly different in a sense, but overall, everything else, the majority of it was pretty much almost the same.
Right.
So, but you do feel better. You have a clarity. My blood work, I went to the doctor just on purpose, just to go ahead and do some blood work, and I mapped it around that.
Right.
So that way I can see pretty much how everything looked. And dude, my charts were awesome.
I believe it.
My doctor was very impressed, you know, with the results. And it's not to say that I had some issues, but it's just to say, wow, like, you know, this was great results, you know, as far as to your cholesterol take, you know, your everything. Like, everything was just off the charts.
Understood. Right. So on that note, do you aim to get your annual health exams and check all the numbers every year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. At least twice a year. At least, at a bare minimum. So, you know, I highly suggest anybody, you know, to go ahead and make sure you take care of yourself, because you just never know, man.
You don't know your numbers if you don't know your numbers. Like, and so if something does end up changing, how do you know how it changed? Like, you have no baseline to measure it against. So I'm huge. Like, I share my results every year on podcast, on my newsletter. Speaking of that, if you're listening to this on audio, you're going to want to come check out the video version of all these interviews. Just go to MIDLIFEMUSCLEPodcast.com, MIDLIFEMUSCLEPodcast.com. And also, if you want the newsletter version that I was just talking about, where I do share my annual health exams and a bunch of other things, just go to MIDLIFEMUSCLENews.com, and the free newsletter is right there. So yes, the annual exams are huge. Like, I'm a big proponent. I love digging in. I love showing my numbers. Like, I share the PDFs with people so that they can have inspiration and see, all right, Like, he's not perfect, but for 53 years young, his numbers are looking great over the last bunch of years. So whatever he's doing is trending properly.
Right.
So like, okay, he's proving it works, at least for one person.
Right.
But I have plenty of other people who like get on board and like, yeah, I get it. Like, you gotta, it's one thing to look in the mirror and look good, but if you don't know your numbers on the inside, you're really not looking at the right numbers.
Exactly. Correct.
Right. Because if you're taking care of the numbers on the inside the right way, your outside is going to be a reflection of that. Right. You're going to look good anyway if you're doing the right things for the inside. So well done on getting those exams done. So before we go into my next few questions, let's touch on the faith part of things, because I noticed when people are wearing crucifixes, I wear mine most of the time myself, and I'm always intrigued. Right, I've seen yours a bunch of times. So, and you mentioned your parents are pastors. Yeah. Give me the summary of that whole thing and what your faith is and how it guides you.
Man, I grew up in a Pentecostal environment. My father was a minister for many years before I was even born, and then he was led into pastorship afterwards. Wow. And so he still is.
Really?
Still grinding it out, for God. So. I grew up in a very musically inclined family. My mom was a guitar player and a singer. And so I, by trade, picked up something, and I picked up the drums.
Really?
Any type of percussion, and picked up the guitar afterwards as well, and then the bass guitar too. Wow. So I've been playing drums for as long as I can remember.
You have a set at home?
Yeah. So it's something that it's another outlet of mine.
Yeah, sure.
Music is another language in my interpretation of things.
Right.
And it just expands your mind to, hearing certain things, differently. And I've been blessed to be able to have the skills that I have. I didn't go to school for it. I play by ear. I don't read music like that. But I wind up going ahead and making sure that it's something that I continue to cultivate my craft in that sense. So I've always been open to many different genres of music. And I grew up in a Spanish type church environment. Then later went on to a Baptist environment, or just non-denominational Christian rather.
Right.
And
is that what you consider yourself now?
Yeah. Right now,
same.
Yeah, non-denominational. So I go to Celebration Church.
Nice.
And I enjoy doing what I do there now, which I just started. So I'll actually this Sunday I'll be performing.
Really?
Playing. Yeah. At
which location?
The main location up in Bay Meadows.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll be there. And I just joined the worship team on that sense. So it's
nice.
It's nice, man. It's definitely something that I enjoy thoroughly, just as much as cooking, just as much as going to the gym.
Right.
But to know that you're doing it for the purpose of God, and to help even encourage somebody to get into the presence of God and be able to worship, and praise God, at the same time.
Right.
That's man, you can't compare that to nothing else, man.
Understood.
So, it's just one of those things that I was raised with.
Right.
I love it. I enjoy it. I'm passionate about it.
It's a huge blessing to be able to have that early entry in life like that.
Oh yeah, man. So it's and my siblings are the same.
Really,
all my siblings. Yeah, my siblings are all musicians at some sort of capacity. So and then my kids are picking it up as well. So
nice. All right, so kids, here we go.
3 boys.
3 boys. How old are they?
13, 11, and 9.
All right. Are they sports? Are they training?
Football all the way, dude. Like they're football,
which school?
Football and baseball.
All same school?
Yeah, kind of. They're in Mill Creek Middle School.
Yeah.
My 13-year-old would now be a high schooler next year.
Right.
And then my middle child, Alex, will be still in middle school. And then Jeremiah, my youngest, he's still in elementary school. But they're all playing football right now. So every weekend, right now, we're doing 7-on-7.
Right.
So every weekend, we're going out to some sort of tournaments or playing with them. I'm constantly busy with them.
Understood.
Whether it's practice, rehearsal for me,
Right.
gym, and their practices are split, so that 3 different age ranges. So,
Right.
I'm definitely with them there.
Yeah,
And these tournaments run from now to May, I think.
Right.
And then we go into tackle season. So all year long,
Right.
I got them active, and they go to the Gym Jacks as well. And they train with David too.
Nice.
So, getting them in the ball,
Yeah.
getting the ball rolling with them on
Right.
that aspect as well.
Awesome. That's good stuff. Really good.
Yeah, man. So, but my faith is something that look, I'm not perfect, man.
None of us are.
That's
how we're made.
I don't consider myself to be perfect, and just because I say that I play drums or I'm in a worship team or nothing like that, that doesn't mean, man, that I am immune to the trials and tribulations of this world. Man.
Understood.
So,
Fully understood.
I'm just
That's,
I got.
that's
issues
why we
just
got
like
to
the
keep
next guy.
coming back daily to the source.
Exactly. I got issues just like the next guy.
Right.
Man. So it's I'm not perfect. There's certain things that I may say that some 4-letter words do sometimes come out.
Right.
Right. Like I can't. I am human, but I'm a work in progress.
Same. Same. That's the best approach, because we're not supposed to be perfect. You know that. Yeah. That's just part of the way.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
But being aware of that is the key, and then just making the constant daily effort to just keep trying anyway. Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Amen, brother. Good stuff. All right. So, have you ever had either like a big setback or like a setback in life that took you off track, or some kind of big injury that took you off track that you had to actually work mentally and physically to get back on track with training, your health, your fitness?
Man, I would say the passing of my brother back in 2020. That was a big hit because he was a dude that I was always in competition with when it came to the gym. He was my gym buddy when we first started.
Okay.
So, he was a very intricate role in making sure that I was there at the gym, especially those first 3 years, like there at the gym, all the time.
He held you accountable.
He held me accountable, and so if I wanted to do 12, I'll do 12. But if he did 15, it was like, damn, man, I can do 15 too, man. Like, man. So him passing away, due to cancer, kind of, threw a monkey wrench, in life for me, and I had to kind of pick up, the pieces from there.
How old were you then?
Man, this was 20, so it was 3 years ago. I was 36. And it's one thing to lose somebody when you're in your teens.
Right.
It's another thing to lose somebody that you've done life with, throughout your whole adult life.
And you're close with.
And for over 20 years. You've known them for more than half your life.
Right.
And it was tough, man. It was a tough hit. So I think that was the biggest. That and my cousin passing away as well back in 2019. So I've had 2 big losses actually. My baby cousin, who I grew up with, we did everything together, and she died of a pulmonary embolism. And when that hit me, that was like my kid sister, departing.
So you were probably down for a bit, right?
Yeah, and I needed to learn how to go ahead and sort my life out from there.
Right. How did you come back to getting back on track? Like, what was the process like?
Therapy. I had to take therapy.
Yeah, sure.
For the first time.
Lots of people do. Nothing wrong with it.
And the gym. I had to go ahead.
So the gym was actually part of the therapy as well, coming back to it.
And I'm the type of person that I cope with things by staying busy. So I deal with a lot of the way I deal with adversity is talking about it, but also staying busy and not dwelling on it.
Not getting sedentary and just not moving.
I don't like to dwell on things like that. So if I can, I recognize it as an issue. I do recognize that there's pain. I recognize that there is something wrong, and I'm sad or unhappy or whatever the case may be, but I don't let it determine what my outcome is, moving forward. So
you don't let it paralyze you. You keep moving.
I don't. I keep moving. I number one, I rest on God, and then number two, I utilize and leverage the people around me, and I leverage the tools that I've taught myself on how to go ahead and utilize, like the gym.
Right.
That is an outlet.
True.
When most people resort to pills and drugs and alcohol, I try to utilize the most positive aspect of my life, that I can use, and and surround myself with good people.
Yep. Amen. Truth. So much goodness in there. I like it. All right. What I know we talked about the competition coming up in July. What long-term goals are important to you that you keep in mind to aim toward in the big picture?
I think I strive for financial freedom. I think that's a big long-term goal for me. I'm kind of there.
Yeah.
But and even for my age, to say that, it's a big achievement.
Sure.
So I know what that tastes like. I know what it's like to go ahead and just if I want to buy something, I go ahead and buy it, and not be like, or not feel like as if I have to check my bank account to see how much money do I have, make a transfer or anything like that. I don't have those worries anymore. I used to be there.
Yeah.
I used to be at a place where I had to stretch out
$25
for 2 weeks, man. Like something, what I'm saying? Like I had to make it work, I used to have 2-3 jobs. I get it. I was in the hustle and bustle, man.
Right.
So, I know what it's like to put myself in a hole, and I know what it's like to get out of a hole.
Right.
So, financial freedom for me is a very big thing that
it's
I
big.
strive for.
It affects so many aspects of your life. It affects your mental health, your physical health.
And I want to make sure that my family, is set as well, so that way my kids, have, the funds needed, for their college education, if they choose to go that route, or if they choose to open up their own business and whatever the case may be. So, I've educated them financially as well, so they're very astute. That they have their own accounts.
You get the Roth IRAs all set up, nice.
All of that stuff. I mean, they're in competition with each other as far as to who has the most money. And
so good.
And so it's funny, man.
Yeah, as long as it's friendly and in good taste, it's really beneficial.
But they rank on each other, man. It's just so different personalities. It's just so hilarious, man. So, but they really, they're financially savvy at the very moment for their age, and so being able to provide for them and being able to be there and teach them,
right?
That's pretty much where where it's at for me. My long-term goal is to retire in the next 6-7 years, from the corporate world, and really start building up into the physical fitness aspect of things.
Ooh, nice. So maybe you are going to share a social media page here so people can start following.
I don't know. Maybe so.
Or maybe I'll share it in a future newsletter. So speaking of the financial part of your life and being important in regards to goals and everything that impacts, right, with the whole family. I was talking with Dr. D, Dr. D. He was on here a few weeks ago. We were talking about some of this just like 2 days ago about how the youth are not taught enough financial savvy and literacy to give them a shot, especially starting at an early age. If they just start putting a little bit away in the most conservative investments like a Roth IRA, so what you're doing is big. Most parents should be doing that because the ball is getting dropped in school or in other areas of life where it could be taught. It comes down to us ultimately.
Right.
So anybody listening, you want to get your kids on the right path now, there's a bunch of good books. There's one called The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins.
Yes,
That's the
heard of that
perfect starting point if anybody's interested. Highly recommended, simple to understand, and easy to implement.
Yeah, but I totally agree. I mean, I think that the schooling system in the United States, unfortunately, does not teach financial literacy to that capacity.
Basically leave it up to parents to do it, or the kids go to figure it out and seek it out themselves, when in reality it should be like required.
I've come to, well, you know, look, I don't like to brag about, you know, stuff, but I mean, I'm a high school dropout, man. You know, I got my GED and my associate's degree, and that's it.
Right.
And I make more money than most people that have a master's degree and
Understood.
whatever they have.
Right.
You know, and unfortunately, you know, schools does not teach you how to make money.
Right.
You know, they teach you how to get an education,
nor how to manage it,
and nor how to manage it. And that's not me knocking colleges,
right.
because I do believe, right, that you still need to go to school for certain aspects, you know, of a trade or career that you want to go ahead and pursue. But I don't think it's the end all be all.
No.
You know, and so you know, I've been able to go ahead and see. When I was out and about, you know, in the retail side of the financial industry, I've met with doctors, I've met with lawyers. You know, some of these guys, they're not good money managers,
right.
you know, because that's not being taught in school.
Right.
You know,
they know how to be a doctor.
They know how to be a doctor. Yeah. You know, they're great at their profession and they're great at their lane, but they don't know how to be great, you know, in money management.
Right.
You know, and so sometimes, you know, the gatekeepers are the ones that you have to deal with.
Right.
You know, from these industries, you know, you deal with the office manager of a clinic, you know, or something like that, because they're the ones that actually know how to deal with the finances, you know, and payroll.
Yeah,
and all
that's
stuff.
their thing.
Yeah. So, you know, for me, I've learned very young and very quick that, you know, and having clients that were of affluency, they were able to, you know, teach me and show me that, hey, you know, you don't need to spend, you know, $30,000-$70,000, you know, in schooling to go ahead and make you, you know, financially, you know, savvy. So I've learned a lot by, you know, connecting and aligning myself with people of influence and having centers of influences within my life as well. So people that can advocate for me and people that can go ahead and educate me and mentor me in that sense. So and within that, I've seen one common thing is that, you know, you either want it or you don't. Right. And if you don't want it bad enough, then you're just not gonna get it. No. You know, and you're gonna be content with where you're at, and you gotta take a calculated risk. Notice how I say calculated risk. Yes. I take a calculated risk, you know, so that way, you know, you're able to go ahead and do something that you've never explored and you've never done before. Right. You know, and see the outcomes and the fruits, you know, of your hard labor.
Yep. I think a lot of people are easily and erroneously intimidated by the thought of becoming financially responsible and financially savvy. Right? Like, just the thought of that is like, I don't know anything about that stuff. I don't know stock market or real estate investing or different types of retirement accounts, right? It's like, okay, like, it could be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah. Right? So I think that's part of what a lot of people need to get over and understand that it can be very simple. Yeah. Just the basics will get you very far, you know, right? And then it's just, okay, if you want all these benefits and you want the several million down the road to be there for you, you got to do a little homework right now to make that happen, right? Good stuff. Yeah, I got all the kids on the program.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and I have other parents that'll ask me, hey, can you help so and so, like them too, get on track with this? Yeah, I love doing it.
You know, I always say this about my youngest. My youngest is one that he's the guy. He's the type of kid that he wants to do it on his own. Right. You know, I don't think he has a problem with authority because he listens to me very well. He takes my and adheres to my advices and what I say. But he's the type of kid that he likes to be in control of his own thing. So I've always said either he's going to learn how to pick up a trade and run with it or something. But I don't see him, and I could be very wrong, but I don't see him, you know, being in college and like, you know, he's going to do something, and that's okay with me. Yeah. Dude, I know people that are clearing over $1 million just cutting grass. Right. You understand? Or
there's many different paths to get in there.
Man, like like there's just so many different things that you can go ahead out and do, you know. I mean, for God's sakes, I saw on social media this kid that won $900,000 just for playing video games. I mean, like so many different things, so many opportunities is what I'm trying to say is that, you know, it's out there. And if you're able to teach, kids or anybody, how to stay focused and how to be motivated and how to be self-driven, and be confident within themselves and what they want to do, then, they can achieve it, man.
Yes.
It's very much possible.
Very true. Very true. So on this note, anybody listening or watching on the video, the whole idea behind financial fitness, right? That's really what we're talking about right now, right? Financial fitness is that I've witnessed this in my private dealings with coaching clients and helping rehab people back to health. The more financially fit you are, that's how much easier it makes you to become healthy, fit, strong, because it gives you freedom. Yeah. It gives you time. It gives you resources. You can buy better foods. Yeah. You can hire better coaches. Yeah. You can buy some equipment for the house if you don't want to join a gym. Yeah. So financial fitness is one of the pieces of the puzzle to being healthy, fit, and strong, and achieving physical fitness, mental fitness, psychological fitness. So it's all tied together. That's why we're talking about it here.
It is, right? Absolutely.
It's all related. Good stuff. All right, so obviously short term, we got the competition in July. So we already know that as spring kicks in, you're going to be starting to chisel down, fine tuning things.
I would say by March.
Right?
March, April, yeah. I always like to be ahead of the curve. So
Understood.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay, so we covered a lot of stuff here, Nate. Good, so I think we over delivered on this one. So now we're going to do the nomination, question for me, and possible social media share, unless we hold off until the future for that, when I can share it in the newsletter.
Sure.
All right. So let's start with who you're going to nominate.
If he hasn't been nominated already, I would definitely nominate my coach, David Canfield.
Really?
Yes.
All right. That'll be cool.
That man has a wealth of knowledge in what he does and in the physical fitness.
You think he'd be up for it?
I think he would. I think he would. He has a master's degree in nutrition, and that's one of the unique qualities that I find in him as a coach that most coaches don't have. But he's also genuinely a great guy, man.
Yeah.
And so
I sense that. Yeah. And I was actually thinking about this a few days ago. I'm thinking, I wonder if somebody's going to nominate David to be on here.
Yeah, no, I'll be the first one.
So you got it.
Yeah, so
Thank
if I'm
you.
the first one, then yeah, man. So
all right, cool.
Yeah,
so
I have the fortitude to go ahead and put that nomination out there because I've known him for many years and I have a great relationship with him, but also because I love the brother and he's truly a great guy.
A lot of people speak good things about him.
Oh, yeah.
So I can already tell that'll be a good one. So I'll leave it to you to connect us. Yeah. If you want to share any of the links, you want to share the link to this episode with him when I publish it this weekend.
Yeah, sure.
Say, hey, I was just on the pod. I don't know if you heard about it yet, but there's a lot of people from the gym being interviewed on here and we're talking about it, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be a good one.
I don't know if you guys know this, but he's actually the owner now, the new
he is,
owner.
Right? I saw one of the clips of that.
Yeah, of the Gym Jacks. Now it's Dynamic Fitness powered by the Gym Jacks.
Right.
So yeah,
okay.
so it's
So for context, anybody new just tuning in, right now, if you missed the previous, 4, 5, 6 interviews with other great people, everybody so far has been from the Gym Jacks, all right? And the reason is, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but because that's in the first interview that I did with Ashley. You know Ashley, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she asked me how this all came to be. I tell the whole story in that episode, so I'm going to save you the time now. But go check out all the episodes. Check out Ashley's, where she asked me how this actually all came to fruition and why. A lot of it had to do with God, believe it or not. I'll share that clip with you if you want it.
Yeah, sure, man.
The specific clip.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody listening on audio, if you're listening on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, it's worth it. Coming to the YouTube podcast channel. And the shortcut link again is midlifemusclepodcast.com. You can also get the newsletter for free, midlifemusclenews.com. All right, so we got your nomination, Big David. That's going to be fun. Hopefully he'll say yes. I think it'll be good for him. We could use that. I'll give him the video footage to use in his marketing for the Gym Jacks and Dynamic Fitness.
Absolutely.
Okay, do you know what question you have for me?
Yeah, it's a question that I always tend to ask people, that that I'm already connecting with.
Yeah.
But what has been your biggest success that you have been proud of over the course of your adulthood?
Yeah. So like,
or recently, it could be anything.
Yeah, the kids definitely. Like my kids, you know, through the 2 marriages and divorces that were extremely difficult on everybody, my kids have turned out great.
Awesome.
Like, really proud of them. They could have gone sideways for a bunch of different reasons. Had some close calls here and there, but you know, I know God had a hand in everything, definitely. But the kids like took certain actions to so far make the most of their lives and develop themselves and create their own connection with God that's unique to them, and also apply the principles in life. My youngest one we're still working on, but she's getting a taste of it. Right? But she's still doing great. Applies herself, works hard, hustles, doing great in school, has her side gigs going where, you know, she buys vintage used clothing and resells it on an app. And she's already got her Roth IRA set up. She's 19.
Awesome.
Right? She's like, Dad, check this out. Things went up today. I'm like, yeah,
she's
I know.
enthused about that.
Yeah, big time.
Beautiful.
So the kids, that's a no-brainer. But one thing I'm proud of that's like, it happened when I was in the tail end of a really difficult time of life. I think it was like during the second divorce, financially it was a mess. Like, she was a mess, I was a mess because of it, all the fighting that was going on and like the dysfunction and the lack of communication. Like I didn't have enough time to apply myself to business enough to like make enough things happen. So I was like spread thin in so many different ways. There was still garbage from the first one mixing in with the second one. They were fighting, and it was like legal fees, and I was like, the only thread of hope I had was my quiet connection to God.
Okay.
Right. So I leaned on that.
Yeah.
And I still did the work that I was able to do, even if it was like 1, 2, 3 in the morning. That's the time I have to do it. And so I was working on creating a fitness program just for like the mainstream market of women who weren't necessarily gym goers. They were just regular women who wanted a better body, like not a bodybuilder, not a bikini competitor. They just want to be good in their own skin and make some improvements without killing themselves, right? So essentially that was this program I had created. And there were early signs of life in that program. But I knew if I could get the marketing to a point that would basically be kind of self-perpetuating and basically tip the scales to make this a viral program, that it would be a life changer financially, and then that would cascade into every other area of my life. So like literally having no furniture in the house, like making that $20 last like for 3 or 4 days, like eating like every morsel counts, you know, that's where it was. So a friend of mine who was also like in the same realm that I got into when I stopped doing a lot of in-person coaching and training, we started doing a lot of online work. That's how I created the online programs. And this particular program was called Naked Beauty, the Simulast method. It was a program specifically geared toward what women call cellulite, the dimples, ripples, shadows of all their trouble zones, right? I knew I had a program that worked. I had to rename it, package it, and market it for that problem with specific dialogue, so women knew, oh, this is what this is for, right? I'm not very technologically savvy in terms of like doing online connections and building websites front to back properly and setting code up like that. I could do the bare minimum, which I was able to get by enough. But I had a friend. His name was Jack, still is. We do a bi-weekly Zoom call to catch up while he's in Australia for a few years. It was at a time in his life when he was going through a real challenging time. And he calls me one day, I'm about to start training. He's like, I just lost a big client. Like, this is not cool. You know, like, he was married, 2 young girls. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do to bridge the gap right now. And this guy's smart. Like, he builds programs, software, like, awesome. Back then, he was just getting started on his own. I said, look, I know I could flip the switch on Naked Beauty, but I need your technical savvy to help with the platform, all right? So that those things I need to be happening are happening because of you. I'll take care of the rest, like the content side, the marketing, tweaking, the product delivery, the support. I got that. So he's like, all right, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it, all right? And so we worked out a percentage deal, and within, I don't know, like 4 to 7 months, we're making things happen. Like, literally starting to generate $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a month on autopilot, and most of it's profit. And he's getting an automated commission check, right? Wow. We reached like $80,000 to $90,000 months sometimes, just this one program, right?
Yeah.
And this went on for over 2 years. So think about that turnaround. Like, I was like scrapping by. Yeah. It was bad, dude.
Yeah, it's $60,000 a month. Holy
yeah,
God.
that was easy. Those were easy months. Yeah. We were like 70, 80, 90. And he was like, so the funny thing is, my accountant calls me after like 4 or 5 months of this happening. He's like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I forgot to tell you, things are taking off. He's like, no, I see it. I'm in your accounts. It's like, where's all this money coming from? I said, oh, the programs took off like I told you I was working on. He's like, well, if this keeps going, we're not going to be playing the same old dance with the IRS. Like, we got to step up. We're playing for real here. Yeah. So we got to do some tax planning, some investments, some retirement accounts, right? We did all that. And then for Jack, like, as the months started going by, he's like, dude, like, you said trust you. You said here's what we'll do. Like, you know, it's going to happen. He's like, you exceeded like everything I lost when I called you. Like, you blew all that away, right? And I'm not bragging about it. All this is God's work. Yeah. There were a lot of quiet conversations, right?
Absolutely.
And so his hand was on everything. The cool thing about me is that it enabled me to do everything I've done since then up to now, which is way too much to talk about right now. Yeah. We'll talk about it more in conversations. Yeah. But for Jack, it catapulted him out of that really tough spot he was in with uncertainty. And he's got like several software companies now. Like, he can sell them for like crazy, like real good money, because he's good. Yeah. Not because he builds crap. Yeah. He builds really good stuff. Smart. Like, I haven't seen anybody like him do what he can do. Wow. So that was, to me, that was a highlight of my adult life.
How long ago was this?
2012 is when the whole turnaround started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's an amazing, a story, because, many people, I've always said this, and I learned this from another
Don't lose your train of thought. By the way, ladies, Naked Beauty is still a hot seller. Naked Beauty, the Simulast method for cellulite, still a hot seller.
Awesome.
So go check it out. Go Google it. You won't miss it.
But I heard this, and I always stick with this, right? Many people see the glory of a thing, but they don't know the story of it.
Right. Amen.
And so, it's something that it's very, amazing. This is why I ask, particular questions like that.
Yeah.
What's your biggest success story? What's your biggest accomplishment? Because, we can understand what the glory may look like, right, but there's a story behind that.
Yes.
There's those quiet conversations that you've had with God.
Right.
There's those moments that you was on the grind, dude, where you had nothing but a chair,
backs against the wall.
Yeah,
That's
backs
it.
against the wall. You only had one chair, a mattress on the floor, one piece of blanket, one pillow,
right,
a plastic fork, and a spoon.
True.
And a paper plates, man, to go ahead and
right,
get you by. And here you are connecting with somebody, on the other side of the world, similar situation, and you guys both are leveraging each other,
yeah,
to go ahead and bring some success. I mean, that's That is amazing, man. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great question. Appreciate it big time. All right, so is there any website or social you want to share now, or you want to wait until?
Yeah, social media. I only have Instagram, which is Nate Fit Life.
Okay, so NATE.
Yeah, Fit Life.
FITLIFE. So that's all one word, no underscores.
Correct.
All right, so Nate Fit Life on Instagram. I'll share that in the show notes. I'll link to it as well. Nate, brother, this has been so good.
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate it, big time.
Man.
Awesome.
Pleasure, man.
All right, so that's it for this episode. If you like it, if you appreciated it, please do share it with somebody. Please leave your comments. If you're watching on YouTube, leave your comments underneath. Let us know. If you're reading the newsletter version of this on Substack, there's a comment area there as well. Or if you see any of the mini clips that we share from this, if you're watching one of those right now, please let us know below. And stay tuned. Give Nate thanks, please, in the comments. Not for me, but for Nate.
Thank you.
You heard how busy he was. He still made the time for this, which I deeply, deeply appreciate you working into your life. And we'll see you on the next episode. Peace and much love to you. Thanks again, bro.
Appreciate it. Pleasure, man. Absolutely, bro.